I spent $18,500 on my sister's wedding. It was correct to every single cent. No one forced me to do it. They didn't have to. Just the gleam in my mother's eyes, my father's loaded reminders, and Emily's teary phone calls, my little sister, were more than enough. I'm the older brother. I have responsibilities. At least, that's what they always made sure to say. At first, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I had a stable job, and my wife, Jenna, supported every decision I made, even when we had to postpone our trip to Maui to help pay for Emily's wedding. Jenna just smiled and said, "As long as they're happy, I'm happy too." That's always been her way. Calm, thoughtful, never complaining, even when maybe she should have. Then the message came. "You can come, but please don't bring Jenna." No greeting, no explanation, just 8 cold words sitting in the family wedding planning group chat. I thought I read it wrong. I stared at the screen 3 times, scrolled up and down like maybe I'd missed some context. But no, that was all they sent. I set the phone down on the stone kitchen counter. Not angry, not panicked, just hollow. Every sound in the kitchen faded out. I stood there, frozen. Jenna walked in, holding a hot cup of coffee, her hair still tousled from her nap. She looked at me, concern in her eyes. "What's wrong? You look like someone died." I didn't answer. I just handed her the phone. She read it. Then silence. Her lips pressed tight. No tears, no drama, just a silence that hurt more than any angry word could. "He finally said it out loud," Jenna whispered. I nodded. "What do you want me to do?" I picked up the phone, opened the group chat labeled Emily's Wedding Dream Team, scrolled to the bottom. I stared at the message one last time as if etching it into memory. Then I tapped, "Leave group." "I'm doing exactly what they asked," I said, voice eerily calm. "I'm not bringing you." Jenna looked at me for a long moment. "So, you're going without me?" I shook my head. "No, we're not going." She exhaled and looked away. I knew this day would come. I just didn't think they'd actually write it out. I said nothing. In my head, every invoice, every bank transfer receipt, every line item, flowers, photography, custom seating, even the fog machine for the dance intro, played like a slideshow. I paid for it all, silently, without a single complaint. Because I'm Noah, the oldest son, the backbone, the ATM with a conscience. And now they treated my wife like she was an uninvited accessory. No more, no less. Why? Because Jenna didn't fake laugh at Emily's empty jokes? Because she once asked Ryan, Emily's fiancé, at a dinner, "Do you actually love Emily, or are you just trying to please her family?" Yeah, that probably did it. I looked at Jenna, the woman who never asked anything of me except for basic respect for my own family. And they couldn't even give her that. "We're not going," I repeated, but I didn't say that I was still contributing to the wedding. And this time, I would be very selective with the gift I left behind. I'm the oldest, in a family where responsibility means carrying everything no one else wants to face. Since I was 24, after landing my first job in finance, I'd unconsciously become the fixer of every mistake, every unexpected situation, every dream someone else couldn't fund. Emily, my sister, was one of those dreams, a dream that cried on cue, that knew exactly what to say to melt hearts. "Noah, I know you've been working so hard, but I just need a little bit more, just a little." That little was rent when she quit her job to follow her dream in art. That little was vet bills for the rescue dog she gave away 3 months later. And now, that little was an $18,500 0 cents wedding where my wife wasn't even welcome. Emily had a gift, making people feel guilty for not helping her. She could cry at will, pause just right, and never mention what she'd already taken, like it never happened. My mother would always say, "Emily's not as strong as you, Noah. You're the rock of this family." And my father always added the trap line, "She only has one brother, you know." Yeah, I knew. Too well. And Jenna? She knew even better. She'd sat through countless dinners where my mom ordered salad for someone like Jenna who doesn't eat much. Or when Emily smiled with that tilted head and said, "You're so easy to be around." Like someone nobody would notice at a party. Jenna never reacted. Not once. She'd just gently squeeze my hand under the table, letting her eyes say what her mouth never did. The only time she didn't stay silent was last Christmas, when my mother asked directly, "So, when are you two going to have a baby for us to spoil?" Jenna simply gave a thin smile and replied, "When we no longer have to heal from wounds caused by relatives who don't respect us?" No one answered. But after that, Emily noticeably cooled. Her text to Jenna stopped. Then she only messaged me, "I'm not sure Jenna likes me." Or, "I don't think she wants to be close to the family." Words that dripped like acid into the space between me and my wife. Yet Jenna never asked me to choose, she only asked, "Do you think that's fair?" I had stayed silent for too long, telling myself I was keeping the peace, afraid I'd seem selfish if I ever said no to my family, until I saw something I couldn't stomach. 3 weeks before the wedding, Emily emailed me an updated expense sheet. "Super urgent, need to confirm with the vendor by Friday." I opened the file and froze. In the list, besides things I already knew, like the cocktail reception and the photographer, was this: just fees for Emily and our mom. Nearly $2,000, 0 cents. A number that had never come up in any of our calls. I texted back, "What's with the stylist?" Emily typed, "Mom said Jenna doesn't fit the style of my wedding, so we figured it was best to invest in a more coordinated family image. Hope you understand. It's not that I don't respect her, it's just hard to explain." Hard to explain? They used my money to hire stylists? For everyone except Jenna? To make sure she didn't fit in their perfect family photo? I didn't respond. I quietly logged into my bank account and reviewed every transaction related to the wedding planner. Nearly all under my name. That night Jenna walked into the home office. I was printing invoices. She didn't ask anything, just placed her hand on my shoulder. "How long are you going to keep putting up with this?" she asked, her voice soft but sharp enough to stop my hands. I didn't look at her. I simply said, "Until they stop thinking my kindness is a contract." Then I turned to her, really looked at her. As if, for the first time, I saw it clearly. Jenna didn't need me to protect her. She needed me to choose right. Just once. To choose right. And I did. I didn't go to the wedding. But that wasn't the end. No, the real wedding gift, Wasquita, was still waiting for its grand reveal. I remember that day clearly. It was a Saturday night, 10 days before Emily's big day. Jenna and I went to my parents' house for dinner, as usual before a major event. The air was heavy from the moment we walked in. Emily sat at the table, eyes cold as stone. Ryan, her soon-to-be husband, sat next to her, glued to his phone, saying nothing. We brought a gift box. Jenna had spent 2 weeks finding a hand-embroidered silk kimono from a boutique in Seattle, one Emily had once mentioned wanting to visit. Light ivory, with white pear blossom patterns stitched into every fold. A gentle, thoughtful gift. "Wishing you a beautiful wedding," Jenna smiled, placing the box on the table. Emily opened it, glanced at it for 5 seconds, then laughed. Not the joyful kind, the laugh of someone amused at how little they thought of you. "Oh, thanks. I already have a few like this, but sure, one more won't hurt." Then she set the kimono aside like it was a discount rain poncho from the grocery store. No one said a word, but I could feel Jenna tightening her grip on the chair. She didn't bow her head, didn't cry, just stayed still. A silence so proud it cut deeper than any insult. I stood up, didn't say a word, and walked out of that warmly lit room that felt colder than anywhere I'd ever been. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat alone in my small home office, yellow lamplight casting long shadows over a pile of invoices I'd printed the night before. An endless list. wedding cake, decor, live music, stage lighting, and line number 18, premium wedding cake package, custom design, $2,300, 0 cents. I reopened Emily's email from 3 weeks ago. Don't forget to confirm with the bakery, no changes allowed. I want the cake to be timeless. Soft cream, gold accents, imported sugar flowers, simple, elegant, think royal wedding vibes. I chuckled. Royal wedding? I picked up the phone. After 3 rings, a woman answered. Marielle's Cakes, how can I help you? Hi, this is Noah Thompson. I placed an order for the wedding on the 18th. Emily Thompson and Ryan Beckett. Oh yes, I remember that one. Very specific. Everything's ready to go. Great. I'd like to make a few small changes. Just a slight presentation tweak, if possible. If you're the one paying, sir, then yes. You can make any adjustments you like. I smiled. Perfect. That night I sent over the revised design myself, editing each detail. The middle layer would be hollow, filled with sugar flowers, as requested. But hidden inside would be an automated mechanism, housing a little surprise. I didn't need to go overboard. I just wanted one small act of defiance. Quiet, timely, and impossible to forget. I didn't tell Jenna. Not right away. But she knew. 2 days later, while I was drying glasses in the kitchen, she walked up and stared at me like she could see straight through my thoughts. You're hiding something, she said quietly. You only smile like that when you've got mischief brewing. I shrugged. Who says I did anything? Jenna squinted, smirked. I just hope their dessert leaves a lasting aftertaste. I burst out laughing. Just a little. The kind of laugh strangers wouldn't understand. But she did. Jenna didn't need the full plan. She just needed to see that, finally, I was standing up for her. And for myself. As I put my phone down, a single thought echoed in my mind. This isn't about the cake anymore. It's about the truth. And this time, I'll be the one to deliver it. Emily's wedding took place on a breezy Saturday afternoon at a Tuscan-style villa on the outskirts of San Diego. Everything was picture perfect, to the point of being fake. From the string quartet playing Ed Sheeran's wedding hits to the soft golden lighting dialed in for maximum Instagram appeal. Everyone was dressed in shades of cream and blush like they were in a fragrance commercial. And Emily, in her imported crystal-studded gown, walked as if she were the lead in someone's romantic epic. No Jenna, no me, but the cake was there, and that's what mattered. The first video came from a friend who used to be a wedding MC, accidentally cut from the final guest list for having a too sharp voice. He sent me 2 words. Holy crap. With a nearly 1-minute clip attached. It opened with Emily standing next to Ryan, hand in hand, eyes glowing like the whole world was watching her. She smiled tight-lipped, tilted her head to her best angle, and the cameras captured it all. Then the MC's voice rang out. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The wedding cake. A sweet symbol of this golden couple's love. The chandeliers dimmed, soft piano music floated in, and a trail of dry ice mist rolled across the floor. 2 tuxedoed servers wheeled in the towering cake, 3 tiers high, gold trim, sugar-white flowers, just as requested. Emily sparkled under the lights, squeezing Ryan's hand, unaware that dessert today wasn't for the taste buds. As they stepped up to cut the cake, a strange sound rang out. Click, then the middle tier, split down the middle. Nobody understood what was happening. 1 breath later, a hand popped out from the ivory fondant. And then, a full figure. Everyone froze as a clown in a wedding gown emerged from the cake. Not a second bride, not a dancer, a clown. With a veil, rosy cheeks, smeared red lipstick holding a balloon bouquet. Across her dress, embroidered in shimmering thread. Mrs. Almost Perfect. Emily staggered back like she'd been electrocuted. Ryan let go of her hand. The room rippled with gasps. The clown grabbed a mic and in the sweetest tone announced, "To the lovely bride. A gift from the one who funded this party. Don't worry, the cake's still edible, but lies? Not so much. Then, on cue, two panels popped open. Two fake doves. Plastic, spring-loaded, shot into the air like malfunctioning fireworks, followed by thousands of white feathers fluttering down onto Emily's head. Each feather carried a tiny paper tag that read, "Delusion is expensive." The room exploded. Some guests screamed. Others cracked up. Someone caught the moment from 3 different angles. Ryan's face, pale as chalk, backed away completely. And Emily? She didn't move. As if her brain had collapsed before the cake did. Within an hour, I'd received 27 videos of the moment. Messages poured in from friends, co-workers, even distant acquaintances who used to only know me as Emily's brother. Jenna sat on the couch, red wine in hand, nearly choking with laughter when the clown popped out. Oh my God. Her face. "Noah, you're a damn artist. A revenge artist." I just shrugged. I only wanted to reflect the truth. A wedding cake is for celebration, but it can also be a reminder. That night, hashtags like Clown Bride and Noah Justice blew up across the internet. On TikTok, someone remixed the clown's line, "The cake's still edible, but lies? Not so much," into an EDM track with over 700,000 likes in 4 hours. Emily froze all her social media accounts by morning. As for me, I sat in the backyard, coffee in hand, Jenna resting her head on my shoulder, the two of us quietly savoring the sweetest part of the wedding. The truth doesn't need an invitation. It always finds its way to the party. The next morning, I woke to sunlight spilling across my forehead and the warm peace of Jenna still asleep beside me. Her face was so calm, I found myself wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? I picked up my phone. 93 unread messages, 18 missed calls. From my mom, my dad, Aunt Christine, the one who once said Jenna was too plain to be a Thompson wife. Even relatives whose numbers I never saved. The first message I opened. "You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy watching your sister fall apart in front of 200 people. And shameful. What you did is unforgivable." Not a single person asked why I did it. No one asked what had led up to it. They just saw the outcome, and I, like a convenient scapegoat, became the villain who carried every sin. Around noon, there was a knock on the door. Jenna was making coffee, and I already knew who it was. I opened it. There stood my mom, massive sunglasses like a washed-up celebrity dodging paparazzi, and my dad, exhausted, his eyes red like he hadn't slept. "We need to talk," my mom snapped, marching inside without waiting. I shut the door behind them, silent. My dad stood in the living room, sighing, then looked at me. "Do you even realize what you've done?" Mom began. "You humiliated her in front of our entire family, her friends, and Ryan's co-workers. People are talking. Someone live-streamed it, Noah. Live-streamed. And you think it's funny?" I folded my arms, leaning on the kitchen doorway. "You think banning Jenna from the wedding was reasonable?" She didn't answer. Dad looked away. "You ruined your sister's life," she snapped. I nodded slightly. "No, Mom. I just shined a light on what you've all tried to keep hidden." "You humiliated her," she hissed. "You made this whole family a joke." I pressed my lips together. If a cake can humiliate this family, maybe the real shame isn't the cake. Silence. "You're no longer part of this family," my mom said, cold as ice, like she'd rehearsed the line all night. I nodded again, this time without a shred of hesitation. Finally, someone said it. Dad opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. "I get it, the door's over there." They left. Never looked back. That night, a friend sent me a Reddit post. "I just witnessed the wildest wedding ever. The bride got roasted by a clown popping out of the cake." Thousands of comments followed. The cake was more honest than their vows. The clown had better style than the bride. "Can someone get me this wedding planner?" The hashtag #ClownBride trended across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Someone even made an Instagram filter with the clown's face and the caption, "Still edible, just can't digest the fake." Within 3 days, Emily shut down all her social media accounts. Ryan, according to someone at the gym, seen, checked out of their honeymoon hotel after just 2 nights. They hadn't officially called off the wedding, at least not yet. But Emily disappeared completely from all family group chats. No texts, no calls, just absolute silence. Me? I had no regrets. Jenna and I opened a bottle of wine we'd saved since last year, cooked her favorite pasta, and had dinner in the backyard under the string lights I'd hung up last Christmas. You know, Jenna said, her gaze warm but serious, I used to worry you'd always choose them over yourself. But today, you chose us. I didn't say anything. I just held her hand and whispered, from now on, I'll always choose right. As for Emily, she used to be a small star, shining on borrowed light. But once real light arrives, the borrowed kind fades fast. Into the world, she wasn't the glamorous bride anymore. She was clown bride, and the internet never forgets. 3 days after the now infamous cake moment, while the clown in a wedding dress still flooded social media, I received a brown envelope with no return address. No stamp, no logo, no sender. Just my name, Noah Thompson, printed in Times New Roman like a corporate memo. Jenna handed it to me as I stepped into the kitchen, shoes still on. Someone dropped this off at the door, no message. I sat down at the table and quietly opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, bold black print. You think you're the only one she used? Attached was a small silver USB stick, the kind used in offices. No labels. I said nothing. Plugged it into my laptop. A single folder popped up, titled Project Emily, Confidential. I opened it. A flood of files appeared. Screenshots of conversations, bank transfers, voice recordings, audio messages. And in the middle of it all, one name froze me in place. Ethan Bellamy. Ethan's my cousin, Aunt Sharon's son. Studied graphic design, now freelancing in Denver. In our family, he's known for being a bit too trusting, kind, soft-hearted, and, most of all, madly in love with Emily since high school. A love Emily never fully encouraged, but never shut down either. I opened the first file, a bank transfer screenshot. A series of payments from Ethan to someone named Claire D. Events A small event company based in Colorado. The amount? Over $11,000 in the last 3 months. Next file, a chat between Ethan and Emily. Ethan. Everything's ready. Just say the word and I'll book my flight to Vegas. It'll be our own private ceremony, just the 2 of us. And Nellie, don't worry, this is just for show. Ryan means nothing. Once I get the financial agreement signed, I'm out of his life. Promise. I felt my blood rush to my face. Jenna stood behind me. Without asking, she placed her hand gently on my shoulder and whispered, It's real. I nodded, unable to speak. There was even a recorded phone call in the folder. I clicked play and heard Emily's voice echo in the living room speakers. Ethan, trust me. You're the only one I believe in. Ryan's just a stepping stone. His parents have money, and I need it to launch my fashion studio. Once I get the financial agreement signed, I'm walking away. This is all just optics. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. No sarcasm left, just the sting of confirmation. Everything I did, the cake, the clown, the backlash from family, was only the tip of a rotten iceberg. Emily didn't just use me. She played Ethan like a pawn, used Ryan like a walking wallet, turned marriage into a financial scheme with a timed exit plan. What are you going to do? Jenna asked, calm but ice cold. I stared at the screen, then whispered, Send it, but not by email. She understood immediately. The next day we printed everything, bank records, screenshots, clipped voice transcripts, and sealed them in a red folder. Jenna sealed it with wax and hand-wrote on the front, Ryan, the truth before it devours you. We delivered it to the gym, where Ryan usually trained, a luxury fitness chain downtown. He was pounding a heavy bag, sweat pouring, eyes wild like a man who just escaped a fire. I called his name. He turned, froze when he saw me. I didn't speak, just handed him the folder, then walked away. I didn't need to see his face as he opened it. Didn't need to hear the gasps or cursing. I knew that with every page turned, the image of Emily, his newlywed wife, was shattering like glass. Back home, Jenna looked at me and said, "You just gave him something no one else had the guts to deliver. The truth." I nodded silently. And Ethan? I'd talk to him. But not today. Today, I just wanted to sit with my wife in our small kitchen, sip wine, and stare out at the garden. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about choosing the light when everyone else pretends not to see the dark. I hadn't planned to see Ryan again so soon. I thought I'd done my part in this wedding farce. But 3 days later, on a quiet afternoon as I raked the backyard, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated for a second, then answered. "It's me, Ryan." His voice was low, none of the old arrogance. He sounded like someone who'd survived a flood, with nothing left but breath. "I read it all," Ryan continued. "I need to see you." I nodded, though he couldn't see. "Where?" "Lakewood Park, behind the old gym. It's quiet. 4 o'clock. Right on time, I arrived. Ryan was already there, holding a water bottle, looking noticeably thinner. His eyes no longer burned with rage or blame, just exhaustion. He held out his hand. I shook it, still feeling the slight tremble in his grip. "I don't even know where to begin," he said, staring out at the lake. "Maybe, thank you. Though honestly, I still don't know if I should hate you or be grateful." I didn't reply. I just sat on the old wooden bench and looked at him from the side. The dark circles under his eyes, messy hair, wrinkled hoodie. No longer Ryan Beckett, the groom, once photographed by 3 DSLR cameras at a wedding, with a 3-tier cake and 2 tons of imported flowers. "I loved her," Ryan said, his voice hoarse. "Really? Maybe blindly, but I thought I'd found someone who could give me peace." I nodded slightly. "We've all thought that at some point." She told me everything would get easier after the first year, that if I supported her dream of starting a fashion boutique, things would change. He gave a bitter laugh. "Turns out that boutique was funded by your cousin, Ethan." "She's a good actress," I said. "No, she lives in the role." Ryan tightened his shoelaces, eyes fixed on the ground. "I moved out of the apartment yesterday. My parents are furious, but they don't know the full story. I just didn't want to hurt them more." I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder, copies of everything from the USB, including Emily's voice message confession to Ethan. I kept a set. "Just in case you needed it," I said, handing it to him. Ryan looked at me, his expression sharpening, but no longer filled with resentment. "You know," he said, "I used to think you were the selfish brother, the one who didn't understand his sister. Now I realize you were the only one who ever saw who Emily really was." I said nothing, just nodded. "Hair? I used to dream of having a family," he continued, softer now. "A house, a couple of kids, lazy Sunday mornings at the farmer's market. Now," he inhaled, "now I have to redraw the dream. From scratch." "There's still time," I said. "You know the truth. That's the best place to start." Ryan nodded slowly, like someone finally letting go of a weight he'd carried for too long. "Thank you," he whispered. "No one else would have dared tell me, but you did." We stood up and shook hands again, firmer this time, no more shaking. Before walking away, Ryan turned and added one last thing. "If Emily ever told you you weren't enough, now you know, she was never real enough." I didn't answer, but that sentence stayed with me for a long time. That evening, Jenna brought out 2 glasses of wine to the backyard. I told her everything about the meeting. She didn't say much, just smiled and clinked her glass against mine. "We did the right thing," Jenna said. "I think so. And now, can we finally close the chapter?" I looked at her. The woman who stood by me through whispers, cold glances, family dinners that felt like sitting on landmines, and never once gave up. I raised my glass and tapped hers gently. to closing the chapter and starting a new one with the right person. And for the first time in many, many years, I felt free. 2 months after that chaotic wedding, Jenna and I stood hand in hand in the narrow, cobbled alleys of Lisbon, the sunlight shimmering on the Tagus River like it was welcoming two people who had escaped a silent prison called family. No more group chats. No more endless calls from names labeled relatives. I changed my number. Jenna did too. We sent no announcements, offered no explanations. We simply disappeared from the machinery of relationships, built on the assumption that I'd always say yes. I never imagined Portugal would be the place where I learned how to breathe again. But on that first morning waking up in our Airbnb, with rooftops glowing red under the dawn, pigeons cooing on the windowsill, and the scent of fresh coffee in the air, I knew I was truly living, for the first time in a long time. Jenna swirled her espresso, dressed in a simple white dress, her hair loose, soft in the light. She looked at me and smiled. "See? No one needs you to fix their drama today." I laughed. No floral invoices, no stylists, no exploding cakes. "Just us," she said. "And some pastel de nata." I poured more coffee. "And a little bit of real peace." In that moment I realized happiness doesn't come from being loved by everyone, it comes from being respected by one. A week later, while sitting at a seaside cafe in Cascais, eating grilled fish and watching the sunset, I opened my inbox. A message had slipped into my secondary folder. The subject line was simple. From Emily. I was about to delete it, but my hand froze. Jenna looked at me, didn't say a word. I nodded. And opened it. "Noah, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't think I deserve it. I lived my whole life like I was the center, and I never thought that was wrong, until everything fell apart. Ryan left. Ethan blocked me. Mom and Dad blame me, but there's nothing left to fix. You were the only one who ever said no to me and still stayed. Until you didn't. Maybe for the first time I'm not asking for anything. Just, if you ever think of me, I hope it's not with hate, but with a little regret. From someone who once believed I could change. I understand why you cut ties. And I know, you were right." It ended with a simple line. "I lost. You won. But the sad part is, I have nothing left to learn from that victory." I closed the laptop. Jenna didn't ask anything. She just looked at me. "She knows I'm not coming back," I said. Jenna gently took my hand. "Because this time, you walked away for you. Not to punish. To be free." I nodded. 3 weeks later, when we returned to the U.S., I didn't go back to our old place. We rented a small apartment in Oregon, close to the mountains, the woods, and the quiet. I started working remotely as a financial consultant, cutting back on hours, making more room for life. Jenna opened a little bookstore in town, where she reads every afternoon and occasionally hosts poetry and coffee nights. One day, while she was organizing the books by color, she looked at me and asked, "Do you think we'll ever talk to them again? Your family?" I paused, then said, "Maybe, but not because they need it. Only if I truly want to." She smiled. "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be free." I didn't say anything. I just pulled her into a hug. Sometimes, you don't need a wedding cake explosion to shake off a burden. Sometimes, it starts with a single choice. To stop paying for things you didn't break. I made that choice. And now, every morning I wake up next to a woman who doesn't love me for what I provide, but for who I am. I know. I won. Not over Emily, not over family. I won over myself. One Friday afternoon, while Jenna watered the garden and I was sorting through an old bookcase, I found a small wooden box I had stuffed into a drawer years ago. Inside were some old receipts, a few handwritten letters from my mother, and a note I wrote at 26. "Don't let kindness become a lifetime contract." I remember when I wrote that, Emily had just called, asking me to cover her student loan payment because she said it was suffocating her. I said yes. No questions. No conditions. No second thought. And it was those moments of no second thought that turned me into a walking wallet. A money dispenser programmed never to ask why. I sat down, tracing the old words with my finger like I was brushing over a past version of myself. Not out of anger, but out of a clear realization. I had let others warp me with their expectations. Then, called it duty. Jenna walked in, holding her little watering can. "What's that?" she asked, seeing me deep in thought with the box. "A reminder," I said. "From an old Noah, who was more right than I gave him credit for." She sat down next to me. "Do you feel lighter now?" I nodded. Not angry, not bitter, just clear. There's something people don't say enough about family. Sometimes it's not a bond, it's a chain. It pulls you back toward what's rotting while you're trying to step into the light. And when you cut that chain, the world calls you ungrateful, a traitor. But no one talks about how you were betrayed first. I used to think walking away from family was the scariest thing. But what's scarier? Staying where you're not respected, just because you share a last name? No one should have to pay for someone else's silence. No one should sacrifice their peace to maintain a lie called harmony. And no one is obligated to be the savior in a family that refuses to heal. That was my life for nearly 30 years. Not anymore. A month after we came back from Portugal, I started writing, not a memoir. I'm not famous enough for that, but a series of posts about breaking free from toxic relationships, not out of rage, but because I finally loved myself enough to walk away. I posted them on a quiet forum, no name, no hashtag, but line by line, story by story, strangers started commenting. I thought I was the only one living as a human 18. "Thank you. I put in my move-out notice this morning." After reading this, I told my wife, "You come first, not my family." I didn't reply to every comment, but I read them, and I smiled. Maybe I didn't change the world, but I did what 26-year-old Noah never had the courage to do: stop being the foundation for someone else's illusion. On my 35th birthday, Jenna and I didn't throw a party. We didn't invite anyone. It was just the two of us, a cozy dinner by the fireplace, and one small gift she gave me: a wooden picture frame with a hand-stitched quote inside. "Family isn't who shares your blood, but who holds your hand when the world pushes you away." I didn't need to say a word, I just held her, tightly. I don't know where Emily is now. Don't know if she learned anything. Maybe she's still trying to start over. Maybe not. But for me, life already started over. Not with a fancy wedding or a big dramatic comeback, but with a quiet decision. No more being the unconditional wallet. No waiting for apologies to move forward. No shrinking myself to fit someone else's fake frame. I walked away, and I didn't look back. I just kept walking toward a light that doesn't come from chandeliers, but from my own heart. My story isn't just about a chaotic wedding or a surprise cake. It's about waking up from years of being used. Because real love isn't about giving without limits. It's about knowing when to stop giving, so you can protect yourself and the ones who truly love you back. I've learned this. Blood doesn't guarantee decency. And boundaries are the only thing keeping kindness from turning into a trap. Walking away isn't betrayal, it's freedom. What do you think about Noah's choice? What would you do in his place? Let us know your thoughts below. And don't forget to follow the channel for more emotional stories and powerful lessons from real family life.